sin committed by others. Remembers as if every lie they whispered had been carved into your ribs. Remembers as if, when they knelt in confession, they had whispered into your own ears, though you've never met them. The problem is, you can't remember anything about yourself. You awaken into a world that worships you. A marble statue bears your name. Its glass eyes catch the candlelight of 1,000 long-dead vigils. They bring flowers. They kneel. They kiss the hem of your robe as if touching absolution itself. But they never hold your gaze for long because somehow they know you are not the one they are praying to. You are a saint, canonized after death. But something is wrong. No one seems to remember how you died. No miracles. No martyrdom. And you live again in this sacred flesh. Remember nothing about who you were or what you did to deserve such veneration. Only one thing is certain. You remember their sins. Every buried confession. Every secret never spoken aloud. Every wound hidden behind a prayer. And you hear them clearly, word by word, pulse by pulse. You do not know if this is a blessing or a curse, but it begins with a name that does not feel like yours. Etched into a tomb you were never. The tomb with a name that feels wrong. You awaken beneath stone. Not in darkness, but in the cold, so still it forgets how to echo. Your breath doesn't steam, your lungs don't burn. You simply exist. Inside a shape that was carved long before you arrived. Around you, the world is muffled by centuries. Dust sleeps on your chest like a forgotten relic. Your hands do not remember movement, but they know how to reach. You push. The stone above you shifts, not cracks, not collapses it. Simply yields, as if the weight of your name no longer has the strength to resist you. Light does not rush in, it watches. Pale, amber, sacred. The lid slides just enough for you to sit. No one gasps. No one screams. Because they are waiting. Outside, dozens kneel hooded, cloaked. Their candles have not yet flickered. As if they knew this moment was not a miracle but a memory repeating itself. You sit up. Slowly. The cloth that wraps your body is not burial linen. It is ceremonial. White, embroidered in thread made of gold and regret. Your name is stitched into the collar. You read it. And something inside you clenches. It is your name. But it does not feel like it belongs to you. You look around. The tomb is shallow, not made to bury, made to display. Behind you, a stained glass window bleeds light onto your skin. The image it casts is of a saint bearded noble, palms outstretched toward the sky. The face is yours, but again, not quite. More perfect. Less human. You swing your legs out. The floor is stone smooth, cold, etched with prayers in a language you understand too well. You do not speak them. The crowd remains silent. Not in awe, in terror. One by one, their faces shift. You recognize them. Not their names, not their stories, just their sins. The woman in the back who drowned her second child and prayed for the first. The man with a twisted ring who stole relics from the dying. The boy who whispers to bones in the garden behind the chapel. Their voices are inside you, layered like dust on scripture. You didn't ask to hear them, but there. You stand. Your knees. Remember how to kneel, but not how to walk. Two monks approach. They carry robes, crown, rings of polished bone. They do not look at your face. They dress you gently, like adorning a relic, not clothing a man. You try to speak. Your tongue tastes like ash. One word escapes. Why? They bow, but offer no answer. A bell tolls, hollow, distant, as if rung underwater. The crowd murmurs not words, but fear. You step forward. The first pilgrim collapses to their knees. Saint Remiel, they whisper. He walks again. The name pierces you, like glass in a wound long scarred over. Remiel, you know it, but you do not believe it. You're wearing the name of a saint, but you remember no salvation, only echoes, only guilt. They call you savior, martyr, light of the forgotten, but you remember none of that. You only remember a door, a locked one, a voice behind it, screaming your name not in worship, but in warning, and then silence. You descend the stone steps. The air thickens with incense and prophecy. At the base, an elder priest weeps not in joy, in relief. Your return was foretold, he says. You will complete what was left unfinished. You look into his eyes. He sees something there, and he trembles. You realize, this is not the first time you've worn this face, but it may be the first time someone inside that face is still alive. A child approaches, offers you a candle. It flickers, then extinguishes in your hand. Gasps ripple through the crowd. He takes the flame. The priest proclaims, and grants silence. You look at your hand. The wax is melting, but the wick is untouched. You turn your gaze skyward. The chapel roof is covered in murals. Angels with hollow eyes, demons with too many mouths. In the center, a mirror made of obsidian. Your reflection shimmers in it but does not match your movement. You smile, the reflection does not. You raise your hand. The reflection clutches its chest. You realize what this is. You were brought back not to forgive, not to heal. You were brought back to remember every sin, except your own. And in that forgetting, they made you holy. The pilgrims who cannot look you in the eye, they kneel in rows that bend like river reeds in the wind, heads bowed, hands clasped so tightly their knuckles lose color. You pass them one by one, barefoot, robed in symbols you do not understand but feel buried in your blood. You do not speak. They do not raise their eyes. It is not reverence, it is shame. They whisper blessings when your shadow crosses them, yet none of them dare to meet your gaze. One child peeks only for a moment and is immediately pulled back by a mother, who weeps and kisses the girl's head as if to beg forgiveness. You feel the weight of their silence like chains around your spine. You remember nothing of these people, but they remember everything, or so they claim. You are not walking toward a throne or a sermon. You are being paraded through a corridor of guilt. Painted along the walls are scenes of miracles, blind eyes restored, demons exorcised, wars halted by your prayer, all signed with the name Remy, all bathed in gold leaf, all false. You touch one fresco where your painted hand rests on the chest of a dying man. His face contorts with peace, but beneath the plaster, you feel something else. Grit, red a smear not meant to be there. Blood, not paint. The monk beside you flinches as you pull your hand away. They're not meant to be touched, he whispers. They fade. You want to laugh, but your mouth does not remember how. You walk on, the hallway narrows. Stone turns to bone-white brick. Pilgrims fall away. Now only monks remain older, sicker. One clutches a vial of ash to his chest. His breath. He whispers, eyes wide, caught during his last sermon. You wonder whose breath it truly is. You wonder who you truly are. At the end of the corridor is a door carved from black wood, shaped like an open hand. The handle is a tongue. You do not hesitate. You press it down. The door sighs open. Inside, a chamber of relics. Glass cases line the walls. Each holds something strange, sacred, or broken. A cracked kneecap labeled his last walk. A single eyelash preserved in honey. A tooth with gold wires threaded through it, titled The Saint's Sermon Bite. You want to run. Instead you step closer, because one case holds something different. A robe, torn, stained. Not with blood but with ink. Smeared scripture. Half a prayer. It is yours. You know it before you read the plaque. From the night of his silence, the monk at your side crosses himself. You do not, because you now remember the weight of that night. You do not remember why, but you remember the feeling. Cold, wet, guilt, without shape. You were there, but not for them, for something else. Behind you, the monk clears his throat. Pilgrims have come from distant lands. They wait in a northern courtyard. To see me, you ask. Your voice is hoarse, not from sleep, but from disuse across decades. To be judged, he replies. You spoke their names in dreams. They came to confess. You want to protest. You want to scream. You want to tell them you don't remember your own name without the embroidery to guide you. But something inside you nods. A part of you, not entirely you. The part that never died. You are led to the courtyard. The air smells of rain and stone. Dozens are gathered, some kneeling, some trembling. One man stands tall. His face is carved with pride, but his hands shake. Saint Ramil, he says, I have come to atone. You open your mouth but no words arrive. Instead, you see it in him. You see the broken blade, the bleeding child, the fire. He started to silence her cries. You do not want to see it, but it is there. He knows, You nod. The monk steps forward. He has been seen, he says. He may now be silent. The man collapses, sobs, walks away without a word. A woman approaches next. She carries a jar of feathers. He told me it was love, she whispers. You see the cage, the broken wings, the prayer laced with venom. You nod. One by one they come, confessing without speaking, unburdening without explanation. And you vessel of remembrance hold it all, until one boy steps forward, and you see nothing. No sin, no shadow, just fear. You don't see anything, he asks. His voice is trembling, but not guilty, just small. You look deeper. Behind his eyes is only light, untouched, unspoiled. You shake your head. You are clean. He looks confused, then disappointed, then angry. Then why do I still feel dirty? He asks. The monks gasp. One moves to strike him, but you raise your hand. The courtyard falls silent. The confessional that whispers back. You are led by torchlight into the chapel's oldest wing, a hallway so narrow even the light hesitates to enter. The walls are bowed with age, the stones exhaling cold through ancient cracks. Moss grows where scripture once gleamed. The monk guiding you does not speak. He knows better. Here silence is a covenant, not of peace but of memory. You stop before a door nearly hidden beneath drapes of wrought black velvet. The hinges bear no rust. They have been opened recently. You feel it before you see it, something old waiting on the other side. The monk bows and leaves, his footsteps fading as though swallowed. The wood is warm. You press inward. The door does not resist. Inside, the air is different, thicker. A room carved from shadow, One bench, one screen. One kneeler, one silenced, but not the kind you bring. The kind that watches. You step inside. The confessional shuts itself behind you. Not slammed, not clicked, just closed. You sit. The wood creaks, remembering the weight of those who came before. You look at the screen, empty, no priest. Just woven reeds and shadow. And then without breath, without pause of voice. It does not begin with words, it begins with sound. Like parchment being torn. Like bones clicking into place. Then your name. Not spoken, breathed email, not a question, not a welcome. A wound being reopened. You returned. You freeze. It is not your voice. It is not human. But it is familiar. You whisper. Who are you? The shadow behind the screen ripples. You confessed once. It says, but you lied. You try to stand, but your legs stay rooted. I remember nothing exactly. You stare at the screen. It shows no face, no light. But you feel heat. Damp like the breath of something that does not belong in churches. They call you saint. It says, but you only remember the sins of others, not your own. Convenient. You clench your fists. I did not ask for this. No, but you accepted it. Silence. Then it begins. One voice, then another, then dozens, hundreds, whispers rising like steam from blood. Forgive me, Father. I lied to him before he died. I buried the child beneath the floor. I drank her pain like wine. I told them it was holy. You close your eyes. The voices are from different mouths, different times, but they are all inside you now. The confessional groans, not from age, but from memory. You reach toward the screen, not to touch, but to stop the sound. The voices halt. One returns. Do you want to remember your sin? It asks. Your throat tightens. You do. And you don't. Will it destroy me? It already has. The walls pulse. The air hums with prayers never finished. Look beneath the bench. The voice says. You hesitate, then obey a small drawer. Almost invisible. You open it. Inside, a folded cloth. Stiff. Dried. You unwrap it. A ribbon, red, torn in the middle. Stained with something black and bitter. Ash, blood, ink. No, all of them. The voice exhales. She wore it when she died. Your hand trembles. Who? The screen trembles. The one who should have been canonized. Your breath falters. Images flicker in your mind. A girl, a prayer, a scream. Fire. You drop the cloth. It slithers into shadow. You took a death, the voice says. You wore it like a crown. And forgot now. The nun who burned her diary. The library does not appear on any map of the monastery. It breathes behind a door with no handle, beneath a staircase that refuses to cast a shadow. You find it not by searching, but by remembering. A flick of censured ink, scorched linen, regret. The corridor narrows as you enter, not from architecture but from time itself collapsing inward. Cobwebs do not cling to corners here. They float, mid-air, like suspended thoughts. You do not belong in this place. And yet it opens to you. The shelves are taller than sense allows. The spines unreadable, titles scraped away or never written. Books do not rest here. They wait and tremble, as if their contents still whisper within. You do not touch them. One tome breathes, another bleeds. One shelf is scorched black. Nothing remains on it except a melted crucifix nailed to the wood, its Christ figure warped into a scream. At the far wall, a single desk. Upon it ashes, a ring of them, perfectly shaped as though formed around a book that burned itself into disappearance. You run your hand across the surface. Warm, then something moves. Beneath the ash, a corner of parchment. Survived, or spared. You pull it free. Handwriting dances across it. Not careful, not sacred. Furious, etched with the pressure of pain. Eurydice is not what they think. He speaks as if sin is something he can lift, but he only buries it deeper. I saw what he did to her. And now they built him statues. You feel your lungs tighten. Another line. If this is read, no, I tried to tell them. I tried to keep the memory honest, but the fire comes for truth first. You recognize the signature. You don't know why. Sister Iron. The name aches in your throat like a prayer you abandoned. You sit beneath the desk, a hidden drawer. Locked, you press your fingers to the wood and it opens. No key. Only permission. Inside, a diary, charred at the edges, bound in cloth that once was white. You open it. The pages are stitched from other documents, ripped sermons, fragments of hymns, torn pieces of confessions, and between them, a narrative. Her handwriting, angry, desperate, real. You've read of a girl who asked questions, who noticed when prayers stopped sounding like salvation, who watched a saint promise forgiveness only to the ones with something to offer. The diary is a record of her descent, or her awakening, you're not sure which. She writes of a woman, your mute radiant, who served at the altar, who disappeared, and of the day Ramael found her body behind the vestry wall and declared it a martyrdom, declared himself the witness, the one who would carry her legacy, the one who would wear her story like a robe. I saw him steal her ribbon, Sister Iron wrote. I saw him cut it in half and hide the rest in his room. He said it was a relic, but it was a warning. You dropped the book, not because of the words, but but because of what you now remember. The ribbon, the voice in the confessional, the girl whose name no one speaks. You bend to pick up the book. It is gone. The diary has vanished. In its place, a scorch mark shaped like an open mouth. You turn, and there she stands. Not Sister Irene, the girl, the one from the ribbon. Her face is pale, not ghostly, but drained, like memory itself is starving. She does not speak. She simply points. You follow her finger to the wall, to a hidden alcove, to a mirror warped by heat. You approach, and in the reflection, not yourself, not Ramil, but both, fused, fighting. When I yours, when I his. The mouth moves without you, and it says her name. You feel it, not in your ears, in your chest. The sound is not a word. It is a sin, a name that should never have been forgotten. The girl nods, then burns. No scream, no flame, just light unraveling into ash. You are alone again, but the mirror remains, and in its surface, you see pages turning on their own. The diary somehow now inside the glass keeps writing itself. A final line scrawls across the last visible page. The feast where no one eats. The invitation arrives not by messenger, but by ritual. A bowl of blood-colored wine left at your door. A folded cloth embroidered with a single word. No one says who summoned it, no one explains the reason. But you know, they want to honor you. Or more precisely, the version of you they believe still lives beneath your skin. You do not resist. You go, not because you accept the title of saint, but because you need to see the room where they feed on the myth of your holiness. The hall is carved from the bones of the old cathedral. Vaulted ceilings glimmer with candlelight, but the flames do not flicker. They stare watching. The table is long, impossibly long, draped in white, stained with age. Each dish is untouched. The guests are seated. All wear masks. Not festive, not symbolic. Identical, white, blank, no eye holes, no mouths, just smooth porcelain silence. They do not move when you enter. A chair waits for you at the head of the table. Its back is carved with your likeness, not as you are, as they want you to be, serene, just eternal. You sit. The silence deepens. Not absence of sound, but presence of something else. Waiting, hungering. The first course is unveiled. A silver platter, opened by unseen hands. On it a tongue charred, pierced with thorns. The monk beside you whispers, the tongue of the blasphemer. You look around. No one eats. The second course, bread, molded into the shape of a child's face, cracked down the middle. The monk says, the innocents devoured. You reach for it. It turns to ash beneath your fingers. The third course, a chalice, filled with dark wine. You smell it, not grapes, not spiced, memory. The blood of those unheard, he says, distilled through confession. You do not drink. The guests still do not move. Then the lights dim. Not all, just enough. A voice from nowhere speaks. We gather to remember his hunger. And from beneath the table, hands emerge, not human, gaunt, scratched. Dozens of them. They grope blindly across the cloth. Searching, one finds your ankle. Gribs. You do not scream. You look down. No body, just arms. As if the table itself is bleeding guilt. Feed them, the voice says. You carry the feast within. You reach into your robe. Something is there. You did not put it there. A heart still beating. Not yours. Not now. But familiar. The monk nods. It is time. You place the heart on a plate. The hands below reach. Tear feed. The table stretches. The door recedes. The monk leans in. You cannot leave hungry. You look at your plate. Empty, then with teeth. Human, worn, arranged in a circle. You recognize one. From your own mouth, lost long ago, swallowed in a dream. You pick it up. Still warm. Still yours. Eat, the voice says, or be eaten by the memory of what you refuse to taste. You open your mouth. The tooth does not resist. It slides back into your gum like it never left. Pain explodes behind your eyes. And then a girl screaming, a ribbon torn, but not in praise, in accusation. The guests rise in unison. The masks turn toward you, still eyeless, still blank. But they see. One speaks. The voice is hers, the girl, the one you buried in story. You do not get to feast on silence. She says, not anymore. The hands return, not to beg, to hold, to judge. They lift you from your chair, carry you across the table, over plates of sign, over wine of sorrow, toward the statue behind your seat. It splits open, reveals a hollow, the size of a man. They place you inside, not to bury, to display like a trophy. The stone seals around you, but your eyes remain open. You see the feast continue. You see them ignore your cries. You realize the feast was never for you. You were the feast. The candle that burned from both ends. You wake beneath the chapel, where the floor tastes like salt and iron and things best left buried. You don't remember walking here. You only remember the whisper, come see what burns. The stairs behind you are gone. There is no up, only forward. The passage narrows with every step, not by design but by shame. And then you see it, a single candle, tall as a man, lodged upright in a cradle of blackened bone. No wick, no base, just flame glowing from both ends, one licking toward the ceiling, the other pressed downward into the stone, burning the past. The flame hums, not with heat, with memory. You approach. You should not, but you do. The walls surrounding the candle are etched with names. Some you know, some you feel. Some were probably yours once. Above the candle, an inscription reads, "One end remembers, one end forgets. Stand too close, and you become both." You take another step. The heat does not scorch, it reminds. Faces rise in the glow. A mother's scream, a knife's confession, a choir of voices chanting forgiveness that was never earned. You reach out and the flame on top flickers, and then so do you. For a second, you are not here. You are him, Ramiel, kneeling at the altar, holding a ribbon that still smells of blood and rain. The girl's body lies behind you, face down in the vestry, her voice forever sealed. You whisper a prayer, but not for her, for yourself, to survive, to be believed. And the lie rises like incense. The candle snaps you back, but your breath is gone. The flame at the bottom now burns faster. Ashes curl upward from the stone, not from wax but from parchment. Pages, pages from your own mind, from your unwritten self. You see them fade. Names, dates, regrets, moments you didn't know you'd lost. Step away. Someone warns. A voice you almost remember. You turn. The boy from the courtyard. The only one you declared clean. He holds a censer. Smoke drifts from it, like fog made of unspoken truths. "They bring you here," he says, "to burn you into a relic." Why? You ask. Because if you forget who you were, he answers, you'll become who they need. The candle crackles. A scream curls out of its lower flame, not sound, but memory flayed into sound. Your hand trembles. The ribbon is there again. In your robe, you pull it free. It is shorter now. The edge is cinched. She burned the center, the boy whispers, so no one could ever wear it again. She who? The girl, he says. The saint you replaced. You close your eyes, try to conjure her name. Only ashes come. The candle burns brighter, faster. You fall to your knees. The floor breathes stone, rising and falling like the chest of a dying god. "They will say you chose this," the boy says, "that you sacrificed your past to hold their sins. But I will remember. I will remember you." He reaches for the flame. His fingers sink into it. Do not burn. Instead, they glow. He presses them to your forehead. A spark passes, a truth. You see a girl kneeling, hands tied with red ribbon. You see yourself stepping forward, knife in hand, not to kill, but to free. You remember stopping, turning, choosing silence, and someone else stepping in. A monk, hooded, smiling, and the girl falls. You dropped the knife. He took it. You were blamed. You were exalted. And you forgot, because forgetting was easier than telling the truth that no one would believe. The candle weeps wax from both ends. It runs along your skin. It does not burn. It brands. You scream, not in pain but in remembering. The boy pulls you back. The candle flares once, twice, and then both ends. Darkness swells. You are left in silence. But your mind is louder than ever. You know now that memory is not truth. Memory is a choice, and you chose once, long ago. You may yet choose again. The boy helps you up. They will say the candle burned away your past. It didn't, you whisper. It lit the way to it. Then let's walk it, he says. The tunnel breathes open behind you. Steps descend, not into fire. They find it behind the altar, sealed in wax, hidden inside the hollow spine of a statue long since blackened by incense and denial. The monks bring it to you in silence, wrapped in linen the color of old teeth. They call it the final testament of Ramiel, and yet your hands tremble when they touch the scroll. It is not parchment. It is skin-tanned, bleached, stretched until the veins become scriptural lines. You ask, whose skin? No one answers, but the silence is loud enough. You unroll it. The letters are not ink. They are powder, pressed into flesh, charcoal black, bone white, and something red that smells like truth. Ground femur, crushed malt, guilt, powdered and pinned. The title reads, the names I could not speak aloud. You do not know if it's a confession or a curse. The first line, this is not a sermon, this is an autopsy you read on. The words unravel like thread from an old wound. Each sentence twists inward, not outward. It does not teach, it reveals. Forgiveness is a cloak we stitch from the skin of others. I wore it too long. The script is not yours, but the pattern is. The rhythms, the choices, the shame hidden between holy phrasing. But I only knew how to save myself. Your knees weaken. You feel every eye on you, monks, pilgrims, even the boy, all waiting to see if you will admit the authorship you have forgotten or buried. A paragraph begins. There was a girl. She sang in silence. Her voice was not of this world, so I bound it in ribbon. I feared her purity more than any sin. I called her sacrifice. She was now. You stop reading. The crowd leans forward. The scroll pulses in your hands, as if begging to finish itself. The boy steps beside you. It's your voice, he says, but it was stolen before it ever left your throat. You nod. You understand. Now, these are not the words you wrote. These are the words you should have said. The sermon ends without blessing. I remember now. I was never holy. I was just the last one standing when the choir fell silent. You roll the scroll shut. The wax seal reforms around your fingertips, like a memory refusing to be What now? You asked. The monks look among themselves. One steps forward. An old man blind, his eyes sewn shut with red thread. He speaks. Then you are the true saint. For only liars survive long enough to become martyrs. You do not know if it is praise or punishment. They lead you to the where pilgrims kneel, where statues of you rise, in places where that girl whose name still eludes your mouth should have stood. Read it to them. One monk says, "Let them hear." No, you say, "Let them see." You raise the scroll and drop it into the brazier. The flame takes it quickly. There is no scream, no ash, just a glow that blooms like a wound being kissed by fire. The crowd gasps. Why? The blind monk asks. Because I will not let them remember me wrong again. You answer. The boy nods. And for the first time, a monk removes his mask. Beneath it, your face, a younger version, before the silence, before the lie, before the title saying clung to you like rot. More monks begin to peel their masks. Not faces beneath, but reflections. Guilt worn like garments. Some show eyes hollowed out. Some mouths sewn shut. One bleeds ink from their palms. The statues begin to crack. The ribbon in your robe burns. The crowd does not scatter. They kneel not in worship, in reckoning. The scroll's flame leaps high and you see her again. The girl whole, eyes open, not forgiving, not vengeful. Just watching, as if to ask, what will you do with the truth now that you've seen it? You do not answer aloud. You just walk toward her, and with each step, the sermons engraved in your memory fall away like dried blood. You are not the relic that grows when no one watches. It stands at the farthest wing of the monastery, a sealed chamber no one dares enter twice. They call it the reliquary of the forgotten. They do not name what's inside, only say, with trembling tongues, that it listens, that it waits. You are brought there after the sermon burns. Not as penance, not as pilgrimage, but because the monks now fear it listens only to you. The door bears no lock. It opens when you speak. One word, not Latin, not prayer, just her name, the one you still don't remember. And yet your lips part. The name slips through. The door groans open. You step in. Darkness greets you, not with emptiness, but with presence. A shape looms in the center, cloaked in veils, draped in chains beneath it, salt lines, cracked and smudged, as if someone tried to keep something in, and failed. The relic pulses, not with light, with growth. Each breath you take, it swells. It is made of many things. Bone, ribbon, wax, hair, glass eyes that never blink. Teeth, some yours, some hers. You circle it, it does not move. But your skin tightens, like something beneath your memories does. At its base, an offering bowl. Inside, letters, hundreds, torn, stained, unopened. Your name is on the seal, written in handwriting you forgot long ago. You open it. I saw what you did. I saw what you didn't. I forgave you once. Then I watched you wear that forgiveness like a crown. So I took it back. The parchment curls into ash. The relic pulses. A voice, your voice, from long ago speaks from within it. Let her be forgotten, that I may be remembered. The chains tremble. The relic stretches taller. You step back, but the room shrinks. The walls close, not inward, but backward, as if pulling you into a moment you fail to finish. You are at the feast again, but no guests. Just one seat, and her, alive, whole, singing. The relic watches from the ceiling now. Roots dangling, teeth glistening. You approach her. She stops singing, looks at you with eyes that do not belong to the dead. Do you know what they buried in my place? She asks. A musky whisper, no, a promise. She holds out her hands. In them, the other half of the ribbon. You never earned it, she says. But you can choose now. Choose what? To be saint, or to be truth. You take the ribbon, it burns cold. The vision shatters. You're back in the relic room. But the object is different now. Smaller, quieter. The letters have stopped trembling. The chains have loosened. One final note rests atop the offering bowl. It reads, "A relic is only holy when it stops growing." You look down at yourself. You are shrinking, not physically, spiritually. The title, the memory, the weight, they fall away like leaves denied sunlight. The relic no longer watches. It waits, but not for you. For the next lie you walk out. The door seals behind you. You carry no relic, only the ribbon, whole now, and heavy, but honest. And in that moment, for the first time, you do not fear remembering. The saint's room that was never touched. They say it has not changed since the day you were canonized. No wind dares pass through its cracks. No light lingers long enough to fade the colors. Every object inside remains precisely where it was placed the morning you were named Saint Remy. But you never remember placing them. The monks lead you there in silence, holding candles that do not drip. For preservation, they whisper. But you know it's for protection. From what? Perhaps from you. Or the memory of who you were before they gave you a title. The door creaks open. The hinges sigh like lungs that forgot they belong to a corpse. You step inside. The air is not stale, it is still, as though time has knelt here, praying without breath. The room is small, monastic. A bed with white sheets so tight they appear carved, a desk, a bowl of dried roses, a crucifix, and on the wall your portrait. Young, serene, forgiving, lying, you stare at it, the eyes are wrong, too kind, too empty. This isn't me, you whisper. The boy, who now follows you like memory itself, nods. It's what they made of your silence. You touch the desk. Dust does not rise, only cold. Beneath your fingers, faint carvings. Not scripture, not doctrine. Names, dozens, maybe hundreds, etched by nail or blade. Some crossed out, others underlined. One repeats over and over. Aurelia, the name stings. You don't remember it, but your skin does. You check the drawer. Locked. A boy hands you a key. You don't ask where he got it inside letters. Not to you, but from you, or at least from someone who signed your name. Each ends the same. Your sin is forgiven, for I remember it now. Your red won a girl's plea. I did not touch him, he lied. But they took my tongue to protect his grace. The handwriting below, Ramil, you did not write this. But the ink is your guilt. The room grows colder. The crucifix trembles. From beneath the bed, something shifts. You crouch. A journal lies there, not leather-bound, just fabric, a ribbon bookmark. The ribbon, hers, you open it. The first page, they say this is his room, but it was mine first. Your breath stops. The voice rises in your ears, not from memory, but from stone. The walls begin to whisper. Confessions long denied. Prayers rewritten, punishments reassigned. They took me away so he could stay. They gave him my silence, my space, my death. You turn to the boy. Why did they never say her name? Because to speak it, he replies, would mean admitting the lie. You keep reading. He didn't kill me, not with hands, but with choice. He chose himself. Your knees hit the floor. The room spins. The portrait blurs. Her face appears beneath yours. Her features bleed through. She had been here all along. Beneath the plaster, beneath the prayer. You scream not in horror, but in clarity. The boy kneels beside you. Will you give it back? What? The title. The ribbon falls from the journal. You pick it up, tied around your wrist. It tightens, not in pain, in promise. You turn to the door. It does not open. The room resists. You must leave something behind. The portrait, the crucifix, the lies. You choose the name. You kneel, right on the floor. The room sighs. The door As you step out, the boy asks, what now? You look back one last time. Now we find our name. And the room closes. Not with finality, but with a breath, as if at last it might rest. The garden where nothing grows unless you bleed. No one speaks of the garden. Not because it's secret, but because to speak of it means admitting that saints can rot. It lies behind the southern chapel wall, sealed by ivy and time. The boy leads you there without a word. You follow, ribbon still tied at your wrist, pulse beating like truth learning to walk again. The gate is old, iron warped by prayer and shame. You do not push. You place your hand on it. It opens, not because you ask, because it remembers. Inside, silence. Not peace but pause, as if everything here is waiting for something to grow. The garden is gray, not dead waiting, beds of ash, trees without bark, roots coiled like pennants. And in the center, a single tree, black, leafless, twisted like a scream carved into wood. At its base, a basin, empty. The boy nods toward it. But yours will not bloom until you remember why it was spilled. You kneel, you press your palm to the basin, not hands. He says, truth, so you speak. I remember the ribbon. The tree shakes. A single bud appears, withers, falls. Not enough. He whispers. More. You try again. I remember the girl, Aurelia. I remember her voice, her silence, the way the monks rewrote her into myth. The basin fills, not with water, with light. Red thick, your chest burns. A drop spills from your mouth. Blood, but not from a wound. From a name heard. Fully spoken, Aurelia. The tree-grown leaves burst forth, dark, veined with silver. Each leaf whispers a word, a memory, A moment stolen, they replaced her with me. You say, made me holy to bury her truth. The roots twist. They don't bind. They reach toward you, not to trap. To hold the basin overflows. Blood pours across the ash. Flowers bloom, not petals. Eyes watch and seeing what you tried to forget. Each eye stares, none blink. The boy steps beside you. Will you let them see you now? What do you mean? The pilgrims, the faithful, the world, not as Saint Ramil, as the thief of her name. You hesitate at wind stills. No, you whisper, not thief, witness. The flowers close, sleep, the blood seeps into roots. The tree hums, and from its bark a face emerges. Hers carved in silence, unweeping, unforgiving, but known. You place your forehead to the trunk. It pulses, memory pours in. You see the garden as it was. Bright, alive. Aurelia kneeling here, singing. The monks behind her, with knives, with robes, with the decision already made. She sings to drown their footsteps. She sings for you, but you never came. The memory ends. The garden returns. You open your eyes. I was late. You say. The boy nods. And they made you first. But I remember now. With blood. Always with blood. The tree leans, drops a single fruit, shaped like a heart. Beaten, you pick it up. It does not resist. It opens. Inside, a scroll, made of skin, written in her hand. You do not read it yet. The boy says, it's not her forgiveness. Now you agree it's her record. And the garden closes behind you. This time not with silence but with song. Her voice, again, not for you, for herself. You are not saint. You are scribe. The bell that rings only for the guilty. They say the bell hasn't rung in 70 years, not since the day of your canonization, not since the rain turned to ash and the procession walked barefoot through embers. It hangs above the central tower, tarnished, towering, and bound in chains. No one dares touch. His name is not spoken aloud, but carved beneath it are 4 words. Only guilt draws sound. You ascend the steps with a scroll in hand, Aurelius' record pressed to your heart like a final beat. The boy walks behind you, barefoot, silent. The higher you climb, the colder it becomes, not from wind, but from judgment. The bell looms larger. You see the marks, fingernail scrapes from others who stood here before you, praying to leave in silence. Moseyed not all. You place the scroll upon the altar beneath the bell. Will it ring? You ask. The boy shrugs. If it does, it means she remembers. I thought I remembered. Memory is one thing, he says. Ownership is another. You reach for the rope. It's warm, as if waiting. You hesitate, not out of fear but out of clarity. What happens if it tolls? Then truth echoes. And if it doesn't, then you've lied to yourself again. You pull once, the silence tightens. The world holds breath. Nothing. You release the rope, and then on the 3rd second the sound comes. Not from the bell. From beneath. The tower shudders. The bell shakes. Dust rains from its rim. And then it rings once, loud, low, final. The boy falls to his knees. The sound passes through you, not into your ears but your ribs. It vibrates your bones. Your name shatters inside your chest. You cough. Something red spills from your mouth. Not blood, waxed, melted, branded. The symbol of sainthood. The lie dissolves. The scroll in your hand burns not from flame, but from acknowledgement. Her words no longer need to be read. They've been heard. The bell rings again. Not once, 3 times. 1 for each name, buried to make yours holy. You don't cry. You can't. Tears belong to the innocent. You kneel. The boy places a hand on your shoulder. Now, he says, you walk forward not as saint, but as history. The monks gather at the base. Some cross themselves, others turn away. One shouts, the bell only rings for the guilty. Then let it ring, you say, until it shatters. And it does. A crack snakes down its side. The sound it makes is not a toll but a voice. Hers Aurelius, whispering across stone, across skin, across the name that was never yours. You rise. The boy hands you a cloak, not gold, gray, the color of things remembered too late. Will they accept the truth? You ask. They don't have to. He says, you did. Each step echoes not with shame but with finality. You do not erase what was done, but you carry it now, as weight, as penance, as offering. The tower door opens. The sky is changed. No more clouds. No more incense. Only wind, and in the wind, a whisper. You heard me. And for the first time, the cloister where mirrors were forbidden, the hallway that leads to the cloister is not listed on any map. Its bricks are older than the abbey. Its silence deeper than any prayer. You walk it alone this time. The boy does not follow. Some reflections, he whispered before staying behind, must be faced without witnesses. The door is arched, narrow, carved with symbols, long eroded, but one word remains. Vedete, it sees you. The cloister is circular, walls lined with relics, not of saints but of shamed, garment stained, nails filed smooth by endless scratching, locks of hair tied in knots like failed oaths, but it is the center that draws you. A circle of 12 mirrors, no frames, no stands. They float anchored by memory, perhaps guilt. Each mirror is shrouded, cloth black as confession, sealed with wax. One stands uncovered. You approach it, expect to see a face. You do not. The glass shows a cell, a girl kneeling, hands tied, lips bruised. You know it's her. You know it's not her now. Her then. The moment before the monks took her voice and replaced it with yours, you reach for the glass. Your hand passes through, cold, wet, like blood long since dried. The image fades. Another mirror trembles. A crack splits its seal. You approach it. It shows a boy, young, frail, crying, kneeling before a confessor, being told that silence is safety, that truth is dangerous, that sacrifice is noble when it comes from others. You scream at the glass. It shatters not into shards, into sand, and the cloister drinks it. The third mirror this time it shows the abbey, empty ashen statues, headless, books burning, monks kneeling in prayer even as fire devours their robes. You are not in the scene, but your voice echoes. Forgive them, you had once said, for they do not remember, but they did. They just chose you instead. The mirror weeps. Silver liquid pools at its base. You kneel, touch it. Visions flood your skull. Visions she forgot by choice, not amnesia cowed your eyes. One by one, the remaining mirrors begin to shake. They do not show your past. They show the moments you erased from others. Every mirror becomes a testimony, a reminder, a name, each one not your own, until the final mirror reveals itself. No seal, no glass, just a frame. Empty. You step before it. Nothing appears. Not at first. Then slowly shadows coalesce. Not into a face, into a shape. The silhouette of a person made of all the sins you bore and all the truths you buried. The shape lifts its hand. Mirrors behind you echo the motion. You raise yours, and for a moment you are surrounded by yourself, not the saint, not the martyr, the witness, the coward, the liar, the one who forgot until it was too late. And then without cue the mirrors begin to break, not with sound, with breath, as if the cloister exhales after years of holding its memory. You fall to your knees. The sand from shattered mirrors circles you, writing itself into a phrase she remembers. Will you? You nod. Not to anyone, to the cloister, to the echo. The book that can only be written backwards. The room awaits beyond the door with your scarred reflection. It does not welcome you. It receives you, the way an open grave receives a body that once denied its shape. The walls are smooth, white blank as if they are waiting to be painted with memory. At the center rests a pedestal. On it, a single object, a book with no title. Its cover is skin, not tanned, not cured, just skin, warm, breathing. You reach out. The instant your fingers graze it, the room shifts, your ears filled with whispers, not voices, but moments. The taste of ash, the silence of a girl's last song, the weight of a crown sewn from another's fate. The book flips open, pages flutter, blank, all blank, except the final one. One line to begin is to undo. You turn the page backward. A letter appears, then a word, then a name. Aurelia. Your hands tremble, not because you are afraid to read, but because you know now you must write, and not in ink, in memory. The boy enters. He brings no pen, only a blade. Write it honestly, he says, or it will bleed the truth for you. You take the blade, prick your finger, press it to the page. The blood is not red, it is silver, laced with ash. The book drinks it, and the words begin to form, not what you choose, but what you remember. The first entry, I saw her fall, and said nothing. You try to turn the page forward, it won't budge. Only backward, always backward. You bleed again. More truth. I called it sainthood, but it was survival. Each page stings, not the paper, the act, because for each truth written a lie vanishes from the world. Somewhere in the abbey, a statue cracks. Somewhere else, a sermon page erases itself. You write, she was not silent. We made her so. The book sighs, as if tired of carrying your burden for you. You must go further, he says. Not what you did, and you close your eyes. Dig deep, pull out the oldest, ugliest root I knew, and I still chose to forget. The book howls. Its skin pulses. You are not alone. The pages turn themselves now, showing you entries you never meant to see. Prayers signed with your name but written in fear. Decrees that buried voices. Forgiveness sold for silence. You kneel. You can't stop the blood. The book drinks it faster. Hungry. Desperate. One final page. One final sentence. The boy steps beside you. Write her name. he says. The whole of it. I don't remember it. That's not true. You breathe. Let the name rise not from mine, but marrow. And you're right, Aurelia Thorne, daughter of the first silence, who sang for the forgotten and bled for the remembered. The page glows, then burns, the book closes. No lock, no chain, just breath. It is done. The blood has been spoken. The boy takes the book. It belongs in her tomb now, he says. And where is that? You'll see. You stand. The room cracks. Light pours in from the floor, the walls, the ceiling. The white dissolves, and all that remains is the feeling, heavy, sacred, unbearable. You told the truth. Not for absolution, not for salvation, but because the time for forgetting is over. The tomb that refuses to close. They buried her in silence. No hymns, no bells, no name. Just a shallow cut in the earth beneath the chapel's east wing where the roots rot fastest and the sun forgets to touch. You only find it now because the book led you. Not with maps, but with weight. The boy walks beside you, carrying the book wrapped in cloth. The sky above darkens, not from clouds, but from memory returning to where it never belonged. The door to the eastern crypt groans open. You descend. 1 step for each truth unspoken. 12 steps, 12 lies. The chamber is small, damp, lit only by moss that glows faint green, like mold trying to become holy. In the center, a sarcophagus plain, unmarked. Why is it chained? You ask. Because it never stayed shut, the boy says. Every time someone lied in her name, it shifted. You kneel beside it. The chains tremble at your breath. They feared her return. No, he says. They feared her memory. You reach out. The book in your hand pulses. You unwrap it. Place it atop the stone lid. The air thickens. The chamber grows. The chains loosen up because you broke them, but because they were never meant to hold truth. You press your palms to the lid. It is cold, then warm, then gone. The stone dissolves. Beneath it, not decay, not bones. A body untouched by rot, her eyes closed, hands folded, mouth stitched not by thread but by vow. The same vow you once upheld. She's not dead, you whisper. No, the boy says. She's unfinished. Her chest rises once. A breath, or a warning. The book opens by itself. Its final page blank. The boy says, one last entry. You don't write with blood this time, you write with voice. You lean in, lips to page, and speak. Your name was never mine to carry. I return it whole. The book seals. Light explodes from the tomb. The moss burns away. The chains fall like dead snakes. Aurelia's eyes open. Not with anger, not with thanks, with clarity. She sits up, stares at you. You remember. I do. You wore my silence, and now I wear your truth. What do you want? She asks. To give it back. All of it. She stands. The ground does not shake. The air does not sing. This is not resurrection. This is reckoning. Then kneel, she says. You do. She steps forward, presses her thumb to your forehead. Your name no longer matters. Then rise, as nothing. You rise, lighter, emptier. Honest, she turns to the boy. You brought him. He followed. Then let him walk. She steps from the tomb. The sarcophagus vanishes in its place. A mirror, one that shows only what is left when all lies are gone. You look. You see not a saint, not a thief, just a man remembering. Aurelia walks up the steps. You follow. You won't need me after this, he says. You were never just a guide, you reply. You were my conscience. He smiles. No, he fades. The light above grows brighter. Aurelia stands at the entrance of the chapel. Her voice cuts through the stone. Let the world see who I was. You nod. For the first time, not a saint. The church that finally forgot his name, you return not as a saint, not as a man, but as a shadow carrying someone else's silence, finally set down. The chapel doors, once carved with your false deeds, now rot from their hinges. The pilgrims still gather, kneeling before the altar bearing your image, hands clasped around a lie. They do not look up as you enter. They do not recognize the absence behind your eyes. At the center, where sermons once disguised guilt as grace, you place the book. The altar burns. Not in flame, in memory. The portrait above it warps, colors leaking like truth, refusing containment. And then it splits. Beneath the canvas, her face. Covered, buried, preserved beneath yours all along. The pilgrims gasp. Some fall to their knees. Not in worship, in confusion. In loss, you do not speak to them. You turn instead to the clergy. Robes white, eyes wide, Voice is hollow. This name is no longer holy, you say it never was. You blaspheme. One hiss. I witnessed your reply. You destroy faith. Another spits. I restore memory. Behind you, Aurelia walks forward. Unbowed, unbroken, unforgiven but alive. Who is she? A priest stammers. She is who I replaced, you answer, and who I now restore the chapel grow. Walls, sweat ash stained glass begins to melt. Not from heat, from truth. The boy's voice returns one last time. Distant but clear. They will try to rewrite her again. You nod. Then we leave her name carved in what cannot burn. You raise the book. Speak aloud. Let this be the final chapter. Not of holiness, of honesty. Not to reclaim it but to break it. With one word. Enough. The pillars crack, the cross falls. Not broken. Freed. The people scatter. Some scream. Some kneel. Some finally look up and see not a church but a tomb built on the wrong name. You'll step outside. The sky is open, grey honest. The abbey trembles behind you. Aurelia speaks. You're no longer saint, I never was. What will you be now? A reminder. She offers you the ribbon, the one that once bound her name in silence. You take it. Tie it, not on your wrist but to the gate as you leave. Behind you the church sighs. The doors collapse. The bell rings one last time. Then, silence. Rio. Earned final. Aurelia walks. If you've made it this far, then perhaps something inside you remembers. Not a name, not a face, but the weight of a silence that never truly belonged to you, yet shaped you all the same. Some stories are not meant to comfort. They are meant to unsettle, to peel back the veil, to whisper truths that institutions try to canonize into myths. You were never just a reader. You were the witness, the ghost, the echo. And now, you are the one who knows. If this tale has stirred a memory you didn't know you held, if a part of you paused, uncertain, breath caught between guilt and grace, then don't let this be the end. Subscribe, like, share the silence. I was finally broken. Not for fame, but because someone out there still carries a ribbon tied